I don't know who you are now. That broke my heart. I can't even tell you the effect it had on me, that I realized.
David Cassidy's journey to stardom seemed destined from the moment he stepped into the limelight. Born into a family steeped in show business, David was no stranger to the world of fame. But it wasn't until 1970 that he truly captured the hearts of millions. Cast as Keith Partridge in The Partridge Family, a musical sitcom that would go on to define the 1970s, David's life was forever changed. The show, which followed a fictional family band, catapulted David to global recognition. His good looks, natural charisma, and catchy tunes made him the ultimate teen heartthrob. I Think I Love You, one of the show's biggest hits, topped the charts and had fans screaming and fainting in stadiums worldwide. The adoration he received was overwhelming, and it wasn't just teenage girls who were enamored with him. His magnetic presence made him one of the most photographed and adored celebrities of his era. But while David basked in the spotlight, there was a growing pressure he couldn't escape. The fame that seemed so perfect on the outside was beginning to suffocate him. Though he was living a dream that millions would envy, David was struggling with being confined to the role of a teen idol. He had bigger aspirations, hoping to be taken seriously as both an actor and a musician. But no matter how hard he tried, it was difficult to shake the image of Keith Partridge that had been etched into the public's mind. As David Cassidy's fame continued to skyrocket in the 1970s, so did the darkness that accompanied it. The young star was living a life of excess, one that many would envy: luxurious homes, expensive cars, and a lifestyle that few could afford. But behind the glitz and glamour was a growing sense of instability. David, like many young celebrities thrust into the spotlight, had little understanding of how to manage the vast fortune he was accumulating. By the 1980s, the consequences of his unchecked spending began to catch up with him. David, who had once made millions, found himself struggling to keep up with his lavish lifestyle. Investments in risky ventures like real estate and a horse breeding farm drained his finances. These business ventures, which promised great returns, ended up sinking him further into debt. His finances, once seemingly invincible, began to unravel, and the lavish lifestyle he had grown accustomed to became unsustainable. By the mid-1990s, David's financial situation was dire. In 1995, he was forced to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, listing debts of nearly $1 million. The same star who had once been the face of teen idol culture was now struggling to stay afloat. Despite this, David's passion for performing never waned. He continued to tour, capitalizing on the nostalgia fans still had for his 1970s music. But even as he struggled financially, his connection with his fans remained strong. David Cassidy's personal life was as tumultuous as his professional career. One of the most complicated and heartbreaking aspects of his life was his relationship with his daughter, actress Katie Cassidy. Born in 1986, Katie was the product of David's third marriage to songwriter Sue Schifrin. However, despite being his daughter, their relationship was distant from the start. David was absent for much of Katie's childhood, consumed by his own personal demons and failing marriages. Katie was primarily raised by her mother and her stepfather, whom she considered her real father. As Katie grew older and entered the entertainment industry herself, following in her father's footsteps, the two began to reconnect. Katie found fame in TV shows like Arrow, Supernatural, and Gossip Girl, and David took pride in her success. However, their bond remained strained. In 2014, David's public comment that he had never met Katie's fiancé created a public rift. The comment blindsided Katie, and she responded with a simple but powerful tweet. "Wow. Speechless." Fans speculated that his struggles with alcoholism and cognitive decline could have played a role in his erratic behavior and hurtful statements. But the real heartache came in 2017 when David, in the throes of his battle with dementia, claimed during an emotional interview that he had given up alcohol for Katie, but that she had cut him off. "I've never had a relationship with her," he tearfully admitted, "and that's been the biggest heartbreak of my life." Katie, who had always remained quiet about their struggles, finally broke her silence. She took to Twitter to respond. "I've always had a heart full of love and forgiveness where my father is concerned, but he's made it clear that we're not close. That's his choice, not mine." Despite the publicized rift, Katie reportedly reached out to David in his final months. However, she never visited him before his passing in November 2017. After his death, Katie posted a tribute on Instagram, sharing a black and white photo of them together, with the caption, "Words can't express the solace I find in knowing you are at peace." Katie, who had once struggled with their relationship, had made peace with the fact that it was never fully reconciled. Katie later reflected on their relationship with a sense of maturity, admitting regret that they never had the chance to fully reconnect. But she also acknowledged his struggles with fame and addiction, saying, "He had his demons, but he was still my dad." David Cassidy's battle with addiction became one of the defining elements of his later years. Despite his early fame and success, the pressure of living under the constant spotlight took a serious toll on him. His addiction to alcohol, which began in his younger years, worsened as he got older. By the 2000s, David's struggles with alcohol were no longer just a personal issue. They had become public, with his erratic behavior and legal troubles making headlines. One of the most publicized incidents occurred in 2010 when David was arrested for driving under the influence, DUI, in Florida. Police pulled him over after noticing his car swerving, and he failed a field sobriety test. His blood alcohol level was nearly twice the legal limit. This was far from his first DUI arrest, but this time, the consequences were much more severe. David was sentenced to jail time, required to attend alcohol education classes, and placed on probation. The mugshot that followed, showing a disheveled, older version of the once beloved teen idol, circulated widely in the media, a stark reminder of his fall from grace. But the troubles didn't end there. David's reputation as a reliable performer also began to suffer. In 2012, during a performance in California, he collapsed on stage, leading to a hospitalization. It was later revealed that his collapse was due to severe dehydration and liver issues, symptoms of the years of alcohol abuse that had taken a massive toll on his body. Fans who had once idolized him were left disappointed and, at times, furious. Many took to social media, expressing their frustration over his behavior, accusing him of disrespecting the very audience that had made him a star. But others were more sympathetic, recognizing that his actions were a cry for help rather than a lack of professionalism. David's erratic behavior extended beyond his performances. He made shocking public statements and appeared increasingly unpredictable in interviews. In 2014, during a radio interview, he once again made headlines with controversial comments about his daughter Katie Cassidy, claiming he had never met her fiancé and that they had no relationship. His words blindsided Katie and left fans questioning his mental state. His struggle with alcoholism and apparent cognitive decline seemed to play a significant role in his erratic behavior. As David Cassidy's health deteriorated, his final years were marked by regret and reflection, as well as an increasing awareness of the consequences of his past actions. By 2017, he had been publicly battling dementia, a condition that slowly eroded his cognitive abilities and further deepened the struggles he had faced for decades. The demons of his past, addiction, family feuds, and professional disappointments, seemed to weigh heavily on him during this period. David's public appearances became less frequent, but when he did speak out, his vulnerability was on full display. In an interview with Dr. Phil in 2017, David broke down in tears as he admitted that alcohol had destroyed his life. He confessed that his addiction had caused irreparable damage to his relationships, career, and health. "I've thrown it all away," he said, a haunting admission from someone who had once had it all. The interview, which showed David struggling to stay composed, left viewers deeply conflicted. Some questioned whether it was ethical to air such a raw and vulnerable moment, while others saw it as a poignant warning about the dangers of fame and addiction. David's emotional confession was a stark contrast to the confident, charismatic star that fans had once adored. As he struggled with dementia and the effects of years of alcohol abuse, it was clear that he was finally facing the consequences of the decisions that had shaped his life. Yet even in his final months, David seemed to hold on to his love for music. He expressed regret over his past, but his connection with his fans, though strained by years of turmoil, remained strong. Music had always been his first love, and even after everything he had lost, it was the one thing that continued to define him. David Cassidy's life, filled with both the glow of stardom and the shadow of personal demons, ultimately became a cautionary tale. Known to the world as the charming Keith Partridge, the teen heartthrob who had it all, his story serves as a stark reminder of how fame, when combined with addiction and unresolved struggles, can lead to self-destruction. Though his legacy as a pop culture icon remains, it is forever tarnished by the dark chapters that unfolded behind the scenes. David's passing on November 21st, 2017, at the age of 67, marked the end of an era. He died from liver and kidney failure, with his family by his side. In his final moments, David reportedly expressed regret over his tumultuous life, acknowledging the role that his addiction had played in ruining his career and relationships. Yet, despite the regrets, there was still pride in his music and the joy he had brought to his fans. In the years since his death, his songs and the Partridge family remain beloved by many, with a generation of fans who still remember the magic he once brought to the screen and stage. David's daughter, Katie Cassidy, continues his legacy in Hollywood, though her relationship with her father was never fully healed. In the wake of his death, Katie made peace with their fractured relationship, finding solace in the knowledge that he was at peace. Her subtle tribute to him, through a tattoo of his signature and a heartfelt post honoring him on Instagram, spoke volumes about their complex bond, one defined by both love and regret. Despite the painful distance between them, Katie's tribute symbolized a quiet reconciliation and the lasting impact her father had on her life. David Cassidy was a man who had it all but lost it. His story is one of incredible highs and painful lows, of dreams realized and destroyed, of fame that consumed him, and a family torn apart by addiction. In the end, his greatest regret seemed to be the relationships he couldn't fix, the one with his daughter being the most poignant. And while David Cassidy's legacy will always be tied to the icon he once was, it will also be a reminder of the fragility of fame and the toll it can take on those who live within its glare.